I'm your host, Diane Bogino, and our guest tonight is Francis O. Bologna, all the way from Louisiana. Francis is a CPA, but even though he is a CPA, he is first and foremost a business owner. Francis had a formidable accounting practice and counseled CEOs and other executives for over 30 years, and Francis understands the issues that face them, especially in this business climate today. Francis speaks professionally and has presented financial management workshops to thousands of owners and managers of independent, family-owned, and Fortune 500 companies. He has authored articles on the interpretation and practical application of financial data and published 2 booklets designed for CEOs on buying and selling businesses, Tips, Tricks, and Traps. Francis, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Well, how kind of you. What a warm introduction. Thank you.
Now, Francis, talk about helping business owners to either fix, grow, or sell their companies, and what's the toughest issue when it comes to trying to fix a company?
Fixing a company, the single biggest challenge, what I've encountered, is that people get very accustomed, very set in their ways. And even though there's evidential matter that supports that we're doing this in a either a dysfunctional sort of way or an inefficient sort of way, there's a tremendous reluctance to let go because that's the way we've always done it. And so getting them to move, to change, embrace change, is always a challenge. But it's interesting, the flip side is that when they start to see change actually taking place and the results of it, it's a lot easier to embrace. It's jump-starting them.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
It's always a challenge.
Now, what is a hybrid merger?
Oh, a hybrid merger. A hybrid merger is taking the best of 2 existing closely held companies, their earning assets, leasing them and creating a new entity. And the new entity gets to operate efficiently. Imagine if you had 2 companies that one had trains, boats, planes, trucks, cars, and hobbies and toys and whatnot, and was laden with the maintenance of all of that. And another company had really some great employees, but a ton of family that didn't produce. So now all of a sudden we take the earning assets of both of these companies, put it into a new entity, lease basically the EBITDA, the cash flow. And this one gets to keep all the toys, and this one gets to keep all the family members, but the efficiencies created with the new entity is incredible. And that is a hybrid merger.
And who's a good candidate for that?
Good candidates are usually companies who have long respected each other in terms of their competition with one another. They also have great respect for their individual integrity of the company owners. And instead of competing in this day and age, they really ought to consider uniting forces, because it's just incredibly difficult today with technology being what it is to just always stay on the cutting edge. If we can take the best of 2 and make it into one without damaging the heritage of the established companies, it's amazing how that allows closely held companies to consider forming a merger. Very helpful.
Interesting. I didn't know that people in competition could get along, but I guess they can. But what is the real secret to valuing a business?
The single biggest challenge to valuing a business is understanding what are the nuances of that particular industry. And so you really have to carefully understand what's going on. When you see something like Amazon, and you say, wow, what's the secret to their success? The secret to Amazon's success is not getting another new book. The secret to their success is their delivery system. If they have a warehouse picking system that is efficient, that is quick, that is accurate, okay, that their billing takes place immediately, I can get that book to you, I can get that tape to you by tomorrow, you're a happy customer. Not that I had it, that I got it to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Of all the projects that you've been involved in, what's the biggest event or the most happening event that meant the most to you?
That's a tough one. A simple thing. Many years ago, I taught a particular class on how to, and as simple as how to calculate the selling price of a product. And I taught it for 2 days, okay? And then I was traveling around the country, returned to that particular area about 6 months later for the sequel. At the sequel event, a man waited till the end of the day, obviously, and people were coming up and saying thank you, as they usually do. But as you and I both know, when someone continuously gets to the back of the line, this is either going to be very good news or very bad news. And I just didn't know which one. But he was with a lady. And he finally arrives and he says, okay, I want to introduce you to my wife. And I said, pleasure, hi, how you doing? And he says, 6 months ago I came to your program. He says, and I learned what I was doing wrong in my business. And I had pretty much lost everything. Yeah. There was this frozen moment. And his wife, with tears in her eyes, she spoke up and she said, he came home all excited. He said, I think I've got the answer. Showed us what we had to do. We recalculated some things, some selling prices. We repriced the entire store. And she says, we've not come out of it, but we're on our way. And she says, we'd have lost it all, okay, had we not learned what you shared. And this was the learning lesson. She said, please never, ever cut short anything just because of perhaps time or maybe lack of apparent interest or whatever, because what's something that may not be terribly interesting to one person may be critical to another. She said, for us, that day was special. Thank you. Yeah, that was...
Man, you can't pay for compliments like that.
No, that was it. And I got to tell you, that was the takeaway. I really learned that day that you really got to take the time and the effort to make every moment count. And when you do, it's amazing how people appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, you've made other people successful, but what's been the secret to your success?
Wow, that's a terribly philosophical question.
That's why I make the big bucks.
When we were in public practice, I used to tell my young staff all the time, in order to have a client forever, you need to do one of two things. Either show them where they're bleeding or show them where they're about to bleed. And in my particular field, if I can show a client where they're having a problem and I can understand why they're having that problem, I can show them how to fix it, or can predict if you continue this path, you are going to have a big problem, primarily or possibly cash flow or even worse. It's amazing how you become their most trusted advisor. It's a coveted title. It's a cross and a crown. But I got to tell you, I think the secret to my success, I've spent a lot of time just trying to make sure that in every engagement or whatever, you really work hard at trying to find where and how you can help them be better than what they are. Yeah. Well,
Thank you so much for your time tonight, Francis.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us. This is Diane Bogino saying so long until next time. We've been talking to Francis Bologna tonight from Louisiana. And if you need help to fix or sell or merge your business, give Francis a call.